Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
What's up, pulling fans across?
What's up?
We're back, year 2 of the No Practice Podcast. We can say year 2 now because we made it through 6 episodes in 2020. Love the fan engagement. This is growing week. We tell you it's kind of like a repetitive story when you go on the show. This a real thing with a real audience, and it's again we're here to represent the where there is no practice. And here to promote the greatest motorsport. I'm Chase Richardson, joined by my co-host, Mr. Tyler Illegal Tractor Slaw. Yes, I thought you have a new nickname, Mr. Illegal Tractor Slaw. We'll get more to that a little later. To my right, Adam. I bet you can predict reverse takeoff Kester. We've yet through 6 episodes of really mini rod reverse takeoff dynamic that exists in our world, but we will today. So glad you're here back joining us. Beers was awesome, phenomenal. Don't let your team watch it because Billy is a guy who's he's just Billy, and we always target. We did had to add a few rules for future guests because we haven't really had any rules in place. But Billy Beers are all into those publicly, but thank you for your show. Thank you for the amazing last show. And then also, as promised, there is a Billy Beers t-shirt on the Full Pull website. And I won't say the last letter there. With Billy Beers available on sale, fullpull.us. I think we sold, if I'm not mistaken, before the holidays. Great holiday stock stuff, or just don't. And then also don't forget, you can also get your No Practice Podcast gear, an enormous amount of those through the holidays. Thank you. We love you. I don't want to talk about your track, but I hope you had a great holiday for you.
Yes, things are good. Tractor's still illegal, but that's quite all right. For those of you that aren't watching on the video platform, only the audio, I did have to pull out my whiteboard behind me, and we've got the Chase interrupts, of course, but there's no tallies in that. But we do have a new addition by request of some fans and listeners of We Get It, Adam backed into the sled. We are, not even 5 minutes into our first year of the No Practice Podcast. And we do have 2 check marks already where Chase had to point out that Adam backed into the sled. So just pointing that out, been getting a lot of feedback, most of it good. Chase, they're telling us, we understand Adam backed into the sled. It happened. There's video evidence. We're going to keep tallies now. And while I reset your interruptions board every show, just because I can't afford to fit that many tallies on this whiteboard because I can't buy a big enough one, we are going to keep the We Get It, Adam backed into the sled permanent as a running tally. So you got to watch yourself on that one. We're keeping track, boy. Adam, I hope you had a good Christmas.
He just ran it.
Opening some Christmas gifts. What'd you get, boy?
Oh man, it was quite the Christmas. I gotta say, it was very good. My son got to rip open some wrapping paper on some stuff. He was more interested in the boxes and the wrapping paper and all that stuff, which was really great to watch him and our family get gifts and exchange gifts. I'm kind of a Scrooge. Me and my wife don't really get gifts for ourselves anymore. And then she goes and buys me something.
What'd you get?
Some clothes and whatnot. But, well, it's not for my wife. Just say my wife, she gave me the most memorable Christmas gift that I can ever imagine. And I don't think you guys are going to understand this when I say it. I got a bidet.
Oh,
I got a hot for
okay.
my butt.
Is it pretty good on the keister?
I don't know. To be honest with you, Tyler, I don't know that
You
that's the
don't
thing.
know. You just what? The cleanliness, though. I mean, if you get covered in mud, you don't just take a dry towel to yourself. You use a little water.
Well, that's true. I totally get this, but I mean, I guess what gets me is they say it saves on toilet paper, but do these things, like, you still have to wipe yourself off after the thing squirts you in the ass, right?
Well, yeah, you take a shower, you still use a towel afterwards, but water, no doubt, is an effect.
Right. So, I mean, I just have no, I have no idea what this is. I'm sure it'll be a comical thing if I ever do put it on thinking of this, like, Chase is such a high living. Probably got one in your house, don't you? Chase, don't you have bidets you got in your house? Couple, 2, 3.
Hey, what is it with you in this podcast number 2? I don't understand that. For those of you just tune in, Adam has a pastime for the no practice, talking about using the restroom, people using the camper, using the restroom at home. I just think, if I didn't know you so well, you're just a full of
you just
full
gave
of
me
number
a great
2 guy. But
idea, Chase. You gave me a great idea. I'm going to put that fucking bidet on the side of my motorhome, so when some bitches come over there, and it's not going to be shooting water out of it. We'll put some alcohol in there, burn some skin or something.
Oh, so the bidet is for our European
But
friends?
seriously.
yeah, no.
I never said
bidet.
I said it's your poop on. You're a poop on.
Ah,
okay.
I see what you did there.
Thanks. We're up in the thousands of followers. Thanks for.
Now, have you guys ever got a gift like that, Chase? Do you have a? I need to know this. You probably used a bidet. I've seen some of the people you used to hang out with. I'm sure they use them all the time.
I don't know if I've ever experienced that. I've only read about the internet and always believe everything I read on the internet. So, needless to say, not. And I'm sure I won't be the guy.
What about you, Tyler? Have you?
But
I haven't personally used one, but was this a subtle hint towards keister cleanliness to get you that gift? Were they dropping some subtle hints there?
Honestly, I'm not going to go too deep in this. I have 2 son-in-laws, both of them great. Jill has always been famous for getting me gifts, and they'd be in other packages. So when I first opened up the box, I thought, well, this is a fucking joke. And then I opened it up, and like pieces were in there, and they're all in their packaging and everything. It's like, holy shit, she bought me a bidet. I can't believe. She's like, well, it does save on toilet paper. And I'm going, yeah. And I was like,
cool.
This is quite interesting.
Put me at one on the board. We'll transition. This is not a plumbing podcast.
Thank you.
Enough with your plumbing fantasies, but big announcement today. Just like Billy Beers, so we have Mr. Excitement himself, recent fellow competitor edition, Mr. Jeff Hirt, joining the podcast. Is one of the most unique people in pulling, but also be sure to make sure he doesn't leave this podcast without his plumbing / fantasy questions answered from Adam and his bidet and what he does while he's using. So, but Mr. Jeff Hirt will be on.
We got a lot to dive into. Never used a bidet.
I don't know. We can ask him. That could be. That's a good question for you. So farm show announcements came out since our last episode. That's all we bring. A little bit of drama in itself, and I think we might dive in a little bit about later in the show. Of course, it does not have mini rods, but one day maybe they'll do it. And I'm getting told my dial up good tonight.
Yeah, Adam got a bidet, and everybody's telling us that Chase should have got a new internet router.
Right.
How about that, Chase?
Keep it quiet for now.
Hey, I'm seeing here from Gary, the only person. I'm not the only person that gave for Christmas.
Oh, a listener also got a bidet. Dumbest gift I ever received. Come on, Gary. You're not about keister cleanliness?
Yes.
The Kesters are about keister cleanliness for sure. I mean, the concept is there for sure. Despite Chase's best efforts
That's
to
right.
segue, somehow we're back on this, so we'd better segue back off that.
That's right.
Yeah. How much to talk about here tonight, gentlemen?
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Rules.
rules. You want to get into rules? You say.
I think
So
we
the recent. Go for it, Adam. Adam,
well,
go for it.
Ed, we talked about the farm show selection. We talked about the farm show selection here with the lots of hearts getting broken on the selection process. It's
I don't think we can mention broken hearts
this poll.
without getting into our fellow Chase.
What about it? Oh,
right.
Was that supposed to be a joke?
Slow.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well,
Yeah,
Adam's internet's cutting out. Chase's is cutting out. I guess I'll just run it.
Slow.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, our own beloved Chase Richardson unfortunately did not make it into the farm show. And he is so distraught, so distressed that if you're on Facebook and you're friends with Chase, you would have recently seen that Chase listed his two-wheel drive truck for sale on Facebook out of tears and frustration for not qualifying for the farm show. Despite winning a single Grand National pull, he thought that alone would be enough to drive him for his shot at making it to the beach, and it was not. Isn't that right, Chase?
Yeah, that's exactly why I sold it.
Yeah. I figured so.
No, to be, you know what, the Kentucky Invitational pull they got going this weekend, I got declined for that too. You know, I got declined for that. I got declined for that farm show. You know, and I'm a middle-aged guy in my 30s. That single is just like just get shot down a few times. You gotta go somewhere else. So we'll just send the truck elsewhere and find a new hangout until we get shot down there again.
Yeah, maybe someday they'll add mini rods there, and then when they deny you for getting in with your mini rod, you'll sell those as well.
Well said. Well said. So,
but
what about your ruling on NTPA came out on the thing regarding the clarification on your seat location. What was your feedback?
Well, for those not in the know, the original new rule read something along the lines of the driver's feet must be inside the frame at all times during green flag under competition. I don't have it up in front of me, but it was something like that. I sent a few emails to our beloved NTPA tech officials asking for some more clarification, as you know, your mind instantly starts to shoot for loopholes and ways around, you know, keeping a tractor running in that organization while still satisfying this new rule set. And I was offered an interpretation that did not meet the wording of the original rules. Not that I'm sitting here whining and complaining, even though I'm sure everybody's going to say that. And so after about 20 days of no response, a new rule was posted. And, well, I shouldn't say that. I got an original response, but I think I said that. What I was given for a response didn't match the original rules. Yeah, I said that. My bad. So the new rules reads, both drivers' feet must remain inside the main frame rails, even with or behind the rear of the bell housing, while seated inside the roll cage with a 5-point restraint harness fastened. B, brake pads must be mounted directly ahead of footrest inside the main frame rails. C, feet and brake pedals must remain inside the main frame rails and behind the engine block plate during brake pedal application. So, as much as everybody thought I would hate this new secondary rule set, what I really appreciate is he basically gave the interpretation that he gave to me and made it public for everybody else, which if he's going to hold me to that new rule set, I'm very glad that he at least remains consistent and applies that rule set to everybody and offers everybody that interpretation rather than holding just Bruce and I to that rule set. So although the rule set isn't in our favor, I feel like it's at least going to be consistent. So I was glad to see that pass through. What do you boys think? Yeah, fellas. So what we're learning here is everybody's internet's falling apart. So I think I'm just going to fly this show solo. Chase, are you there? Adam
I'm
has
here.
left me.
I think we're getting attacked
You're
by.
here? Okay. What did you?
We're getting attacked by hater zombies that are messing with our Wi-Fi. Because we actually did a test for the show and it was all good.
Well, what did you think of the new rule set?
I think that kind of echoes what I have said many times in this podcast, but if I had to say one thing in how the process works, I don't think the people in charge, those aren't easy jobs to have, but the people in charge, we don't always do a great job of clearly making a clear interpretation on rules in terms of wording. And what I mean by that, when you read it, it can be taken 3 or 4 or 5 different ways. And that provides mass chaos when people when there's 4 or 5 different, interpretations amongst ourselves. I've made the suggestion that, for the NTPA, each class has divisional committees. Whenever they get ready to put a rule in, run that rule by those divisional committee people and say, hey, does this make sense? If all 3 of them agree, then at that point they can just put the buck back on those guys. But I think so much of everything in all rules, it's not mini rod. I think they can do a much better job of writing rules. And I get it, like these guys aren't literature majors, but nor are they lawyers. But I think there's something to be desired to improve in terms of rule writing.
Yeah, it would be a tough job to do, no doubt. But did you like the second set of rules better than the first set?
I like them all because it didn't apply to me.
And when you mention those divisional board members, you yourself are on that divisional board, isn't that correct?
For the mini rod, yes. I think I have 2 more years left in that term.
Nice. Has it been a pretty good residency so far? Have you been enjoying yourself?
Yeah, and for people, new fans of pulling and those that don't know how the NTPA does it, there's each class or division has 3 elected people as competitors in that class to sit on a divisional committee, and their job is to take feedback from competitors, kind of organize that, and present it to the rules, the decision makers, the boards, and the head of tech and so forth. So yeah, I have no problem with that. I just don't, there can be drama in those seats sometimes, particularly this year. We heckle a lot on here, but I don't particularly like hearing that a friend of mine's tractor is outlawed whenever I'm in there and can't really do much about it, despite what you or your dad may think. I promise I didn't tell him to outlaw your tractor. So
yeah, whatever. What do you think caused more drama? The farm show selection for the 2-wheel drive class or the rule change in the mini rod class?
I'd say the farm show selection deal is always drama filled, and that's actually a good segue here. They call themselves the farm show is branded Championship Tractor Pull, and for those of you new pulling fans out there, if you do not know what the National Farm Machinery Show is, if you like any type of competition or motorsports, buy yourself a ticket. Go to Louisville, Kentucky, February 14th, I think, through 17th. It is very, very awesome to be in that indoors and seeing the best of the best compete as they label it. But Championship Tractor Pull, in all sports in the world, when something's called championship, there's normally criteria to what makes championship, and sometimes the criteria for the farm machinery show selection process is not understood. Actually, it's not public knowledge, and to be quite frank, they don't have to they don't have to tell anyone their criteria because it's their show, and if you don't want to come, don't come. But back to your point, it creates a lot of drama when those lists are revealed. And I think it was revealed a couple weeks ago. So yeah, you can go on and on about that deal. And it's a lot of classes. And there's other classes that the 2-wheel drive class. I'm not saying that because I didn't get in. There's
You are.
three or
You
four
are.
other there's 3 or 4 other guys that have better arguments than I have specifically. But at the end of the day, I told someone this. It's like playing blackjack. You can have 2 face cards dealt to you, and the dealer can have a 6. And those of you who don't know blackjack or gambling, odds of you winning are pretty good, but you have no idea what that dealer is going to turn over. So maybe they should brand it the Blackjack Championship Tractor Pull instead of Championship Tractor Pull. But yeah, it always brings a lot of drama forth.
Either way, it's a great pull to go to. Something about seeing that much power, that much noise indoors compared to outdoors. I don't know what it is about it, but like for anybody that's dynoed a motor like this indoors, it's just that much more violent when there's 4 walls and a roof above it. And I feel like that applies to the farm show as well, to see, a 3 or a 4 engine tractor, an unlimited super wide open, headed for that sand pile. And I mean, the fumes are in the air, which sometimes can suck, but it's also just part of the atmosphere, hearing the noise and breathing it in all indoors. I mean, there's something special about it. It's a good time. Obviously, I've never pulled at the farm show, only the truck show, which is the same venue. But I mean, something's a good time about the farm show, going there and watching everybody compete. And especially with the finals aspect, the way you qualify, it's a good time for sure.
The finals aspect that should be adopted at all national events, as we've stated before, the finals deal just makes that pool so cool, because you have to qualify to get in there. And obviously Saturday, you can't find a ticket anywhere to get building there, let alone Friday and the nights before. So the finals aspect is invitation only, despite not knowing or seeing what the criteria is, but it's an accomplishment to get in that place. And and out of the 20 in the 2-wheel drive class, out of the 24 vehicles that were in it, all 24 can win. So it's not like it's going to be a watered down show. It's still the best of the best.
Yes.
No matter who they
and
say.
For those wondering, when we talk about the picking process of who got in, Chase, correct me if I'm wrong, the top 3 from the finals last year, not a single one of them got in to even compete and try to qualify for the finals this year. Is that correct?
No, they didn't. And in fact, this 2-wheel drive class specific, the NTPA Grand National Circuit, which arguably is probably the toughest, if not as tough as any circuit. But I think there was only 5 trucks that got in for that circuit this year, but it wasn't even the top 5 trucks that finished in points. That's what the criteria no one's ever going to know. And
I kind of like that. That kind of makes it pretty mystical. I mean, you get somebody that kicked ass last year, they think they're a shoe-in, they're in no matter what. They're really not. It doesn't matter. They're not getting the letter that they wanted in the mail, and that's what makes it pretty cool and heartbreaking at the same time. We've got Mr. Adam Kesselman back.
It's the blackjack. It's a blackjack championship tractor pull. It's like playing blackjack getting in that place. So
I like it.
Maybe we can make that a t-shirt for February, because we'll for sure be in the house there. And in fact, I think we're going to. That is a week our podcast is scheduled. We might even look to do a podcast. It may not necessarily be in the venue, but we'll find a local establishment somewhere in Louisville to maybe do a live podcast in Louisville, because it is a festive weekend. Again, if you've never been, get you some tickets. Bucket list trip. You just better hope you can find some hotels at this point, because it's. I think people may not know this, and I'm from Kentucky. This is actually pretty interesting. So, the Kentucky Derby, being from Kentucky, is the biggest revenue week in the state of Kentucky all year long. Obviously, because it's a worldwide sporting event. But the Farm Machinery Show Tractor Pull is the number 2 revenue generator outside of Kentucky Derby. So to
That's impressive.
say that it's a big deal it is very impressive. So to say it's a big deal and it's prestigious is an understatement in that regard. And in fact, I just saw some commercials here for the first time here recently, here locally, because I'm in the Louisville TV area, so to speak. So again, buy your tickets, even though they don't have mini rods there, and even though they didn't let me in this year, you should still go, because we're still going to be there having a good time. And honestly, the the environment is pretty cool. So
I'm glad to hear that, tears and rejection aside, you'll still be making an appearance, Chase. That really speaks to your character.
Yeah, it's too much of a. The only thing that's changed this year compared to other years is that there's probably a 12. Let's call it a 12-hour window where I can't drink or have an adult beverage. Where this year it's kind of wide open. If I've been pulling, there've been 12, maybe 24 hours if you make it Saturday where you couldn't consume. So outside of that, everything will be the same for me.
Really, to wrap up the farm show, who's the most sad about you not getting in? It would be your liver. That's what I'm getting from this. So without further ado, enough rules nonsense, enough farm show nonsense. I believe we've got a little segment planned as a transition here called the Man I Wish There Was Practice segment, correct?
It's becoming worldwide known.
Yes.
For many reasons. So
that's when we
man, I wish
break down some videos of some passes of some pullers where things don't go all too well. And we've got a couple of
the No Practice Podcast. Man, I wish there was a practice segment.
Oh my God!
That's right. And this week on the Man, I Wish There Was Practice segment, we are going to feature none other than Mr. Jeff Hirt.
Who is this kid? Hang on. Is it? Oh, I think I've heard of this guy.
Yeah. I believe he's going to be on today, so I've heard.
Let's see it in real time.
Producer,
as announced,
take it for a ride.
Recently added to the mini rod class, and certainly gaining his stripes right here with his. I think this was this past summer, so let's check it out.
All right, here we go. Jeff's at the line,
in real time,
green flag, and we see him coming wide open. He backpedals slightly. He gets into the throttle, and the whole tractor rolls onto its side. Oh, Chase, what was that? Did you see his foot go outside of the frame rail?
Oh,
did you
looks
see
like
that?
a hazard. That wasn't an NTPA pull. Doesn't count.
Oh man!
The one thing I noticed here, Tyler, just from I haven't rolled a mini rod tractor over yet. As I say, yet's a key word. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. But it was like the running of a bulls coming out here to see this guy. Whenever you rolled yours, there was like one.
Here we
person.
go in slow mo. Green light, green flag. Jeff cracks the throttle. He finesses it off the line. He goes from half throttle, and right here he goes full throttle. Front end kicks up. It picks up. It sucks back down. It picks up even higher.
Let me jack my throttle a little bit. Let me jack my throttle.
Oh, and there the front right tire digs down. The whole thing goes on its side. Foot outside the frame rails. Red alert, outlaw the chassis. And Jeff is sitting there. And like Chase says, running with the bulls, we see just a crowd of people come running from the starting line, some with starting bottles, some with flags. Some people in fire suits even just come out in hot pursuit to make sure Jeffrey Hirt is okay. Yeah, it is. We see a man in a fire suit come around from behind the tractor. We see a smart car come cruising down from the end of the track. And I mean, God, I'm very thankful, that this tractor was able to survive that without getting outlawed. That is impressive.
Okay, producer, go back one more time in slow-mo. I'm going to narrate this in the Jeff Hirt voice the entire time. Go back one more time in slow-mo. All right, here we go. I'm Jeff Hirt. You'll hear his voice in a second. All right, it's not running, but so we got to pedal. Here she goes. Give it all she wants. She's one wheel, almost staying. All right, let's back it off the throttle. I'm not going to let out yet. I'm running bear driver. Hang on. Oh, shit, this seat. Oh, fuck. Jessica, come rescue me. I'm upside down. Oh, Mr. Jeff Hirt running bear himself. Actually, he did a really good job driving that tractor.
Yeah, you can tell because it's on its side.
I think he was doomed from the start there.
Yeah.
But
every time I've flipped mine, my dad always says to me, "Tyler, you did a great job driving that tractor."
Yeah, phenomenal job.
I don't want to interrupt you guys here because I've been gone for the past 10 minutes here, fucking with my computer. But
Adam, it's been our best ratings of all time while you're off the air. The ratings went out the roof. Now they drop back down.
Wouldn't doubt it. But I have to say, after looking at most of these rollovers on these mini rods, I swear the reason why half of them flip over is because the front tire breaks or breaks off, bends, spindle break, something like that, then the front end sticks and they roll over. Would you guys not disagree with me there? I mean, look, the front
would
wheel's
agree.
broke.
That's what makes it the best class in pulling, no question.
Right. Well, that's honestly why I put the big golf cart tires on mine. Now, my spindles still may break. I don't know. But at least I'm going to give it a good shot of keeping the front end on it. That's just my 2 cents.
I really wonder, not to just sound like a peasant that sits here and complains about his chassis being outlawed, but under the new rules for NTPA, if your foot has to be inside the frame rails during green flag at all times, during a wild ride like that, if Jeff's foot gets to the outside of his frame rails, is he disqualified at that point? Because there we see it right there. His foot is no longer.
Here we go. We're going to fucking Tyler. We're going to have a rule next week.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm going to say this. Hold on, Chase. Hold on. I'm going to say this so loud and clear so everybody can hear it. I am all about safety. I want everybody to have the safest vehicles out there. I want our fans to be safe.
Lame.
This will create another fucking rule. Next week, there'll be another rule that comes up. Oh, we're going to have leg restraints now. All this shit.
Right.
Here's the thing. They want to keep creating these rules. They still, after 10 years, cannot tell us how fucking long the track is. One year it's 300, 310, 320. Then we're at 350, but now we're going 380. Sometimes we're only going 280. What the fucking... I mean, if you can stop 15 classes inside of Freedom Hall within 5 feet of a sand pile, we can at least get it within 50 feet outside.
I've seen a couple of tractors at Freedom Hall go right over the sand pile and set their front tires on the other side of the cement barrier, so I don't know about all that nonsense.
Just saying, he usually ends up getting it figured out.
Well,
speaking of you're saying it, Adam, if you're saying everybody, hang on, Tyler. Now he's back. And he's got a quick opinion since he's got his Wi-Fi fixed. So, are you saying if everyone runs front tires like you run, that there will be no wrecks? Did I hear that right?
I didn't say that. I just said
I proved that wrong.
I put golf cart tires on mine just because of that reason.
Well, I like
Plus,
how I have airplane tires from good old TRB Machine on the front of mine, and I like how
probably paid pretty good for them.
Yeah, I did. But I didn't pay anything. Bruce did. Adam is smack talking my landing gear airplane tires, saying I should upgrade to golf cart tires for structural.
I didn't say that. I did it for my own.
That was kind of implied. Well, speaking of long tracks, the next video, I think we can comment on long tracks because this isn't the only video we have to feature in the Man, I Wish There Was Practice segment. I believe we have another one as well that we're going to watch. Ironically, also with our future guest, Mr. Jeff Hirt here, but this time not in a mini rod, but an unlimited super. Let's give this a watch.
Ironic
He's going to set a land speed record on how to get out of the seat faster than the tractor before the tractor quits moving.
Beautiful hole shot by Mr. Jeff Hirt. Front end is in the air. He's wide open, probably making hundreds of pounds of boost. Things are going great. He's set to go 400 foot, and the whole hood blows off in a 4th of July style firework. And there's rumors he wasn't even seat belted in there because if you watch this in slow-mo, the hood explodes and he just stands up and gets off. I mean, there is no
346. He was going to go 450 foot. He was hauling ass.
Some say he was actually going faster than Lee Swift and Pete Miza's tractor when it hit the concrete barrier.
50.
That's a callback to a 3 weeks ago episode. If you didn't catch it, you'd better go back and watch it. Fan vote toss up. Which one was going faster? Let's see that once again in slow mo. And let's watch how fast Jeff gets out of the tractor. So he comes with the throttle, build and boost. He's wide open right here. Tires are spinning, ballooning up. Front end lifts up off the ground. That thing whole shots beautifully, carries the pan on the sled. He's off to the races, probably doing in excess of 40 miles an hour. And I mean, the hood, 3, 2, 1, boom, blows off of the thing and coasts the better part of 20 plus foot. And to me, Jeff just stands up. He's out of the tractor right there. I mean, the flames are still dying down.
If you want to talk about safety, safety, this guy didn't wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at that tractor's almost still moving when he's out of the seat. I mean, the thing's still moving.
That's true.
And he takes his helmet off without unstrapping it. Watch this. This is the guy that's all about safety now. We need to use. See, We need to see his thoughts. He takes it off without strapping it in. We need to get his thoughts on your mini rod because he's all about safety.
They just blew the sheet metal off that tractor, and they're worried about a mini rod. That's all I got to say. They see this blow up, and they're worried about mini rods.
I mean, Jeff Hirt is the Houdini of tractor pulling. The fact that he can be strapped in and just stand up, helmet off, while the vehicle's basically still moving. That's impressive. I mean, look at that. And still goes 346. Did he end up winning that poll? Does anybody know?
I believe he did. He did. You know what? I think this could be the best intro of all time with this special segment. Than what better way to bring the man himself on than Mr. Jeff Hirt right now? And we can actually, I'm in favor of backing up both clips and asking him what happened. Then we can get to this clip and ask him. A, was his seatbelt on, and B, was his helmet secure.
Look at that hood. For those of you that are tuning into our audio only, that hood never made another pass on a pulling tractor. I think it was Sunday afternoon on Facebook. Jeff was sending out the feelers, trying to find a new hood for that tractor, which he eventually got.
Speaking of that, I mean, that tractor never pulled with that hood, but when he rolled that mini rod, it made a pass later that night. Like that
night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jeff Hirt.
Yeah, it's Jeff Hirt.
The guy doesn't wear his seatbelt. You think he's worried about the chassis safe? Come on.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And not to mention the first year he had a mini rod. Speaking of Mr. Excitement, I hope that he followed the new Billy Beers initiated guest rules and is a good guest tonight. But Mr. Jeff Hirt from Port Clinton, Ohio. Also need to mention he is a two-time champion on the Pro Pulling League Champions Tour this year. He won both the Unlimited Superstock, and he beat Tyler and Bruce in the mini rod class on the Pro Pulling League side.
There he is.
Did you hear us? Is your audio there? Did you hear anything just happen?
I heard a little bit.
So
walk us through that hood
exposure. Instead of giving you an intro, instead of giving you an intro, we're going to go back and just take. I want you to get out of the story because we're the jackasses on here with all the answers, running our mouth on podcasts. You're the actual guy. Can you take us through what happened when that hood blew off?
It was on a hell of a pass.
No shit.
We
was
going 450 foot
easy.
We changed some stuff. Hart's got us some new turbos and that, and it took us till Bowling Green till we really figured out why it did what it did. The computer was not working, and it turned 8,500 right there. Just pick up speed, haul ass, and then it pulled down to just under 7, and it
loaded it nice.
Just haul ass, and well, we didn't realize that it was going from where the boost was set at 100, 105 pounds to 150 or 60 when it would pull down. The wastegates wasn't big enough. And
seemed like you like that though, Jeff.
Oh, they run good, just not long.
Yeah, Jeff, were you actually seat belted and strapped in for that pass?
I was. And
do you have a pneumatic like air
it's
powered
a cam lock
belt undoing device?
It is the quick release cam lock deal, and you don't have to be mini rod tight in that thing. It's a little more comfortable if you leave a little slack so you can kind of move around. But I got my ass chewed there when we first couple events there. Chase's dad come up, kind of grabbed me by the neck and said, I'm only going to tell you this once, but tighten your damn belts.
Yeah. Well, everybody was used to you trying to get that cab forward concept by just leaning forward about 3.5 feet in between your shoulder blades and your seat, to get your body mass forward. And I could appreciate that.
It's actually Jeff's probably the reason for the rule.
Yeah,
because last year it was you had to sit in the roll cage, and now you got to have your feet in the front side of the frame rails. I mean, whatever Chase does next year, there's going to be another rule based on that. So,
yeah,
no selling your 2-wheel drive truck.
Yeah. The rules are I get in a farm show next year. Yeah, let's see how that works.
Jeff, which one cost more money, blowing the hood off the Unlimited Super or wrecking the mini rod?
The Super was a little more money. I mean, the mini, hell, it just, I think it took a wheelie bar and a steering joint.
All right. Our excuse there is Chase juggles some glass bottles. Which one
Sorry.
costs more, blowing the hood off the Unlimited Super or buying your mini rod?
Buying the mini rod.
Oh, okay. I wondered if that would be kind of a close call or perhaps.
No. It really wasn't even bad on the Super. The hood was
No, I'm sure
think-
not.
I think it was $500. I think it was $1,800 to fix the head, and it needed a piston and a valve.
So what did it do there? Did it you get a burst panel or did it blow the end of the manifold out of it? What did it blow the
It
manifold
split
apart?
the whole side of the intake manifold. It actually dropped an exhaust valve in the number 1 hole, and the valve went up around the back of the intake, went over and hung the number 8 intake valve open.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then it lit the intake off, and that's all she wrote.
yeah, that sounds affordable. So 150 pounds of boost, you said you were running to that thing, correct?
Well, I don't know what it was there, because like I say, the computer didn't work. But at Bowling Green, when it pulled down and torched the head, it had 155 pounds.
So just to put that into context, people like me and Adam are making like high 30s, low 40s, Chase up in the 50s with his chuckboard blower, and so to hear that Jeff is making 3 times what Chase is making is just downright impressive there. It's really unfathomable. Really, those motors are like a series of pipe bombs.
Now that thing being a 903 Cummins that's been D-cubed, correct?
Correct.
How thick are the sleeves?
Maybe 1/4 inch. It's actually, there's a big spacer. There's a ring on the top and then a ring that we press in the bottom where the original liners were. Now, when we
if
bought
you guys just made a really thick sleeve to fill the void.
Originally, when we bought it from Boudreaux's, it did have a really thick sleeve from top to bottom. Blackburn and Campbell have built an aluminum ring that goes in the bottom, and then a steel ring. It's basically a short spacer sleeve in the top that's inch long.
Okay.
Sounds pretty sophisticated, but not quite as sophisticated as the process of you guys de-stroking your crankshafts. I have heard stories about you guys taking cutting torches to the counterweights of a stock 903 crankshaft. Walk us through that process, Jeff.
We tried that for a while, and it got better. When we kept the RPMs down and it wasn't running as well, we could keep the bearings in it. But as we progressed, it got worse and worse. We finally had to step up and buy a billet crank from Blackburn.
I understand it didn't work, but to those not in the know, walk us through the process of what it takes to take that stock crank. I mean, you're really skipping the story here of Jeff Hirt out in the yard taking a cutting torch to a stock crankshaft, cutting the counterweights off, and then throwing it in this tractor with 100+ PSI of boost, correct?
Correct. We had templates that I had an engineer draw, the same guy that drew the billet cranks for running.
But mini rods are not safe.
That's right.
They're not. It's terrible. We'll get into another part of this counterweight thing here after I explain this. You take this template, you mark the crank, and you cut off here, and then you have another piece water jetted, and you put it in a different spot. You clock it different or whatever, because it was originally an externally balanced. It had more stroke, had a lot heavier rotating assembly. So we lighten everything up, and you just need to move the counterweights around to make it work. But it just got to the point where the rigidity of the crank wasn't there. But we thankfully have never thrown a counterweight off. However, there's been a few tractors, and Dennis Johnson's tractor, the first
Shag
time
nasty.
We called it the Rock Dyno. It was at Ernie Connor's shop, and they backed it up, and they was lighting it in the driveway, and it threw a counterweight. They never did find a counterweight. God only knows how far down or what neighborhood it landed in, but it was about a 4-pound counterweight.
Jeez. I mean, that
Safety first and pulling.
For anybody that is not understanding what he's saying here, is they cut the counterweight off the crankshaft, they water jet out a new counterweight, and then they weld them back on the crankshaft. And they do this like on some of the inline 6 stuff. They weld the counterweight on because these stock engines were only 3,000-4,000 RPM engines, and some of these guys are turning them 8,000 or closer to 9,000. And the counterweight helps keep the crankshaft stable. But let's say sometimes the guy Weldon maybe isn't the best. Not taking anything away from anybody, but
Jeff, he's attacking you, Jeff. He said you can't
I'm
weld.
not attacking him. I'm not attacking him at all.
I said I've never lost a counterweight, Chase. So we're good.
Exactly. I'm not attacking him. I'm saying some people have lost these things, and they put pretty big holes in things. So
I would like to meet the engineer, as you say, or whatever you call them, where he's like, here's a piece of paper as a template, or a template. This is what you have to take a cutting torch and cut off of a crank, and then make this chunk and weld it over here, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah,
Right.
I would like to have been a fly on the wall for that first conversation. Hey,
Yeah, like,
Jeff
what did this guy
Hirt,
look
Jeff
like?
Hirt, professional tractor puller. I got this idea. Take this crankshaft, cut it up, and weld it. But don't tell anybody what we're really doing because this could be a safety issue.
Like,
Sorry.
well, Jeff,
Jeff, you've been in the class for a long time. When did that stuff start? I mean, you've been around it your whole life. When did they really start doing that stuff?
Hal Connors was doing that in the early 90s, late 80s on that stuff. And I mean, they've done a really good job. Now, like that one of Johnson's that come off, it was originally a bolted on weight. It was, say, 2 inches wide. And they cut a 3/4 inch steel weight, put it on there. And they had some bad gas or whatever. They welded it on instead of bolted it on. But then it went on the sides instead of two. They were metric bolts, but they was basically a 5/8 bolt.
Right.
That was the metric bolt. If it was a 5/8, it would have held, damn it.
Jeff, I don't think we gave you a really formal introduction. We kind of dove right into your tractor explosion and your safety, if you're wearing your seatbelts or not. But thank you for coming on the No Practice podcast. We have over 300, almost 350 people watching live right now. The show's growing, but people like you have fans out there. So thank you for coming on. Congratulations on your great 2023 season. We're done being nice to you now. Just a couple rules. We're going to ask you anything at any time. You don't have to answer it. You can do the Adam button, which for those of you just tuning in, Adam sometimes does not like to answer all questions. So feel free to hit the Adam button. But Jeff, we've been praising you. We've been questioning your safety credibility, but your seat's getting ready to get real hot. So hope you know what you're in store for here on the No Practice podcast. First things first, what is this story about you? And again, no secret. There's no secrets in pulling. You know, you have a lot of friends out there, but some of your friends reveal some of your stuff that you've done in the past. Is it true you used to have a deep freezer in your trailer to put your alcohol in before you run because you thought it made it run better? Is that accurate? And do you still do it? Do you do it with your mini rods? Because if you do, we might be open to doing that on our camp.
We do not do that, nor have we ever done that. We had water and alcohol mix for in the intercooler because I was too cheap to chase ice around the fairgrounds.
So that was a not true statement. So
right.
Everything you hear in the pulling world is not always true. I did not know that. Thanks for that clarification, Jeff. Jeff, coming off your championship season, you got your unlimited super into the farm show. Where are you at in terms of getting it ready? We talked about the farm show here for a little segment prior to you coming on. Is it ready to run now, or what do you have in store in terms of this February 16th Duel of Fuels?
I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning to go up total flow with the cylinder heads. We've got some things that have been going on, chasing valve guide issues and that. We're just doing a little preventative maintenance. It's got 4, maybe 5 runs on it since it was put back together. I've got the heads off, stripped, clean, ready to go up to total flow. We're going to do some measuring and possibly build some different guides for it. And after that, I'm hoping to have it running within 10 days.
Ready. Does it have brass guides in it or steel guides?
It's got steel guides with a brass liner.
Right.
So nothing says Jeff Hirt more than Jeff Hirt coming off a championship and then before the biggest pull in the world, deciding to go overhaul the entire engine, not knowing if it'll run or not.
We're
the biggest
we ain't overhauling shit. We didn't even take pan off.
Well, I mean, Chase,
just the cylinder heads, Chase.
It's basically wore out. You heard the man. It's got 4 to 5 passes on it.
I mean, this is nitro shit. I mean, not a lot of it, but
you can't say that. There'll be Hey, look, Braden Simon said that he smoked weed on this podcast, and the next day he got a damn drug test. I mean, if you said nitro, they're tearing that shit apart week of farm show.
Perfect.
Jeff, you've been through this super stock class, and actually saw a pretty cool video someone put up the other day of you driving at 16 at the farm show. We probably should have got it out for this podcast, but you've been around and seen it. The super stock. We'll get into mini rods here a little shortly in a little bit, but where the class is currently, what's your full transparent thoughts on dual the fuels, diesel versus alcohol? I know obviously it works for the farm show. Are we to a point now where you could just run them both wide open? Because I think both classes could use the other in terms of sheer numbers. Like, give me the state of the union of where it was, and where it is now, and your honest thoughts. Again, hit the Adam button if we're offending you on anything.
No, I think they need to be together. I think they need to be heads up, though, not giving the diesels weight and that down there and such. You get them outdoors, and I mean, they're finally getting big turbos and all the stuff that's been on the alcohol tractors, getting big cylinder heads, big turbos, and I mean, now they're getting some pumps to where they can run all that stuff and making it work. I mean, you take Travis and Collins tractor and a couple of the others out there. I mean, Roosters. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. They're kind of screwed up here. They're all running real hard. You get them outdoors, and I mean, side by side. One of us has a bad day, good day, whatever. I think they're getting close to where it just needs to be back together.
And it's not like I used to think that one class, the livability of them, like they would run and last longer. But hell, the way it sounds, there ain't much of a lifetime on either class right now in terms of run your stuff economically. But I might be off on that. I just see a lot of people work on their stuff between the two classes.
It's like every class. Everything's getting more and more competitive. The problem with this class, it's real easy to reach down, turn the wastegate. And, hell, let's make 500 more horse tonight.
That's
it
right.
might only cost 10 grand more.
We do that with a mag, Jeff. We do that with a Magneto.
Yeah, but the parts only cost $150. I mean, I hate to say it, like everything on those tractors costs more. In availability is down, I would say, a little bit. So, I mean, I got a question for you based on that. Do you think, coming from where you have with the tractor, do you like the long runs, like the 350 possibly plus foot passes, or the shorter runs? What tore up more shit?
I can't say one or the other is really harder on us now. A short, for lack of better terms, a short distance, long time run is hard on the big tractor.
Right.
A short run, I mean, versus
I guess what I'm getting at with this is these runs, we were okay with going from 300 to 330. Now we're at 350, but now we're starting to stretch a little bit more than that. And the runs aren't becoming as long as I think from the standpoint I'm coming from here is, I think the fan wants to see us cross whatever is the end marker on the track. If it's 350, 330, 300, they don't care. They just want to see somebody go past that marker and then maybe have a pull off. That's just my opinion. I just don't know. There was a point in time when you go from 300 to 330, the passes are faster and it takes the same amount of time. But now we're starting to get further out there. And I didn't know if, like, these diesels, for instance, really like that extra time that we kind of are going.
I think the extra time really hurts this class is the intake temperature is so hot that all the temperatures and everything increases.
Turbos are getting hotter.
Exactly. You know, everything's it's just the bomb's getting closer to the igniting itself. And it just, I don't know. I can't say the alcohol diesel anymore, one worse than the other. I mean, the intake temp's so hot and that, but they got to get something figured out. I mean, I think the biggest problem with these big long runs is it's too easy to miss it. If you're shooting for 350 or 360 and you miss it a little bit, all of a sudden we're 450 and it's dangerous. And
right. I think if somebody nails down the setup good on it, they might take it 400 feet, even if it's set for a 350 track. I think when they bring them back to closer to 300, they're a little bit more consistent with the distances. That's just my opinion.
I can't disagree with that. I think it's a more consistent distance. You don't have your great big distances in between, and the parity's not as bad when it's a little heavier.
Right. We're strolling up there 346 346 with the sheet metal off it. I know that was about to be a 400-foot pass.
Jeff, did you
know
win
what?
that pull? Did you win that
We-
pull where you blew the hood off?
We did. And I think it was 15 or 18 foot ahead of second, something stupid like that.
Jesus.
And how
So
far do
basically-
you think you would have gone? Is it true 369?
That's the number I was shooting for.
I figured so. I figured so.
Right.
All right. Well, Jeff, okay, there we go. We just finally saw you take a sip of a beer. I think that's the longest I've ever spoken to you without seeing you take a sip of a beer. So to loosen you up a little bit, in addition to your beer, we've got a little rapid fire round of questions that we're going to ask you that we don't need any explanation for whatsoever. It's just a quick one-word answer to these.
That wasn't me.
No, that wasn't you in our little.
I think we need to put his picture on there instead
Well, we
of.
should have changed
Mine
it.
was
Scott
close,
Taylor.
but it wasn't quite that good.
We'll change it. No, it was just daylight for you, Jeff.
For those just listening on the audio portion, for our rapid fire round, we've got a pulling tractor going up in flames. So,
Scott Taylor years ago.
Jeff, quick
Hot.
one-word answers here. They don't even need to be the right answers. They just need to be quick answers. That's key. Okay.
And there is no pass,
Yeah.
Jeff. You must answer. You must answer
Yes,
no pass.
there is no pass. What tractor puller that currently pulls do you think has lost the most money gambling in one single day?
Billy Beers.
What is your favorite fast food?
McDonald's.
What's the most you've ever spent there in one trip?
Probably $150.
Do you drink more when you go snowmobiling or when you go tractor pulling in a given day?
Tractor pulling.
The dollar amount spent roughly on your largest pulling explosion / breakage.
Ooh.
Come on, Jeff. You got to be quick.
Don't do
Hang on,
math.
he's gonna need a calculator.
What? What was that?
I don't do
man.
math.
He's
on
gonna
that.
need a calculator.
You don't have to do math. They don't have to be right answers. They got to be quick answers, Jeff. Come on.
A lot.
20,000.
Lot.
Okay. What mini rod puller do you think you could easiest beat in a game of chess?
None.
No, you got to pick one, Jeff. They don't have to be
All
right
right,
answers. They got to be quick answers.
I don't play chess. Don't know how.
Okay, how
So I
about
don't think I can
checkers?
beat
You should have
anybody.
declared Jeff.
Can you muster checkers,
Chase.
Jeff? Come on. Chase?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
whip Chase's ass in checkers.
What unlimited super puller do you think you could easiest beat in a mile foot race?
Jeff Hodem.
That's fair. Greg Randall versus Marvin Epperson in a one-on-one game of dodgeball. Who do you got your money on?
Oh boy. Got to go with Greg.
Greg Randall, I can see that. All right. Which one of us three, in between me, Chase, and Adam, do you think you could beat in a hot dog eating contest? First to put down 6 dogs.
I know. I've seen Chase have some pretty big wieners in his mouth. So
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
So you're saying you could beat Chase? Come on, Jeff. These got to be
no,
quick.
no, not a chance. You.
Me? Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
do that this summer. We're gonna live stream on full pull. And we're
Hey,
gonna
you
have
know
a
what's
hot
really
dog
funny
eating
about
contest.
that?
One
I
more
have to change
question.
it real
Hang
quick.
on. One more
Hold on,
question. Jeff, what college football team won the 2023 Rose Bowl?
You're breaking up. What?
Yeah, you heard me, boy. For those of you not in the know, Jeff is a huge Michigan
The cheater,
fan.
cheater, bugger eaters.
Yeah, I figured that
Jeff,
one
I
would
hate to say this, and to all our great Ohio State fans that are listening, I can't
We
say.
have sucked this year.
Hey, it don't matter. I mean, you guys have lived at the top a long time, but I can
Yeah.
tell you right now, you can't spell cocksucker without OSU.
That's right. That's right. And I believe my father, it wasn't part of full pull, but Bruce did win a $100 bill from Mr. Jeff Hirt on a little OSU U of M bet. And Jeff refuses to sign the $100 bill. Isn't that right, Jeff?
That's correct. That was not part of the bet.
It was not part of the bet. He won't sign it.
Tyler,
But who
what
won
I was
that game, Jeff? Who won that
I
game?
told him.
Who won that
You're
game?
breaking up again.
Yeah, I figured so.
What I
Bad,
was going
bad
to say,
internet.
boys, I have, now that you have this contest on, I did forget to say one of my Christmas presents this year was a hot dog rolling machine.
Is it a Snap-on hot dog roller?
No,
like the
it's not. I
Chase?
don't have that high dollar shit like Chase Richardson does. I don't have bun warmers and all this shit in there. We got a hot dog rolling machine. I'll light it up. We can do a live version of this contest. If those hot dogs go down half as fast as those beers do that Tyler drinks, somebody's in for a long day.
That's right.
Hey
Jeff.
Adam,
You and I-
always be mindful. Always be mindful. We had record numbers whenever your internet connection was not good. So if we ever need to get the numbers back up, just pull the plug in your Wi-Fi. But carry on.
Yeah, I've been
Jeff,
thinking.
great segment there, Jeff. Great segment. Fans are loving it. A lot of feedback, a lot of questions. We're going to be sure to ask Jeff a couple questions in of his segment here tonight. But you took it like a champ, man. And the one thing I have to ask you about in that of all those questions that were asked, the Greg Randall, Marvin Epperson dodgeball. Can you evaluate what went into that thought process for a couple of minutes? And for those of you who don't know, Marvin Epperson is the head of tech for NTPA. He makes all the final decisions, recommendations for rules.
Chase's best friend.
Greg Randall is the executive director, the number one in charge in the NTPA operation day to day. So what went into that thought process of Greg taking down Marvin? Like a quick 10 seconds.
Right there. You said it best right there. Greg's in charge. Just ask him.
Gotcha.
I honestly, my money is on Marvin. I think Marvin could take Greg Randall in a one-on-one dodgeball. I think that needs to be part of our hot dog eating contest. I don't know which one goes first, but I think it would be a great competition.
I don't know. Compression socks versus a yellow shirt. I don't know who's going to win.
Adam, don't you hurt people's feelings. That's not what
I'm
this
not.
show's about. All right,
Jeff,
segueing on Jeff. Jeff,
You
tell us
traveled
about
thousands of miles down the road. Go ahead, Tyler. You got it.
Jeff. Tell us about the time you bought a combine from Indy and drove it back to Ohio.
It was that was
I didn't know this was a real story.
Shortly after we drove one, or I drove one from Port Clinton over to what was Peffley's auction over there in Wabash, Indiana.
Well, how
Then
far
we
is
went
that? We don't know. To give us the miles.
Probably 180, 200 miles.
And how fast did it go?
24, I believe.
4?
It was
24.
24. Okay. So how many hour trip was that in a combine?
Well, I took it most of the way and then got a motel there. And
Hang on. Here, you parked the combine in a hotel. Is that correct?
yeah.
You park at the hotel.
Yeah. Doesn't everybody do that?
How many beers per hour? What was the fuel economy on that?
It's Tyler. It's like when you're tractor pulling. We don't count the mileage on the tractor.
It was all about miles per gallon, not,
That's right.
not miles
That's
per
right.
They
gallon.
count the hours, not the miles.
For those, Jeff, you have a ton of fans out there, probably hardly as many as any that I've seen just individually, Mr. Excitement. Tell people what you do. This kind of is a good segue to why you would drive a combine 180 miles. Tell us about Jeff Hirt, the non-tractor puller, your all's family business there. I know you farm. Talk a little bit about through that and tell your fans out there what you do for a living.
Yeah, we got a lawn and garden dealership here. Sell Ferris, Skag, Exmark, Toro. Used to be Simplicity, but they folded on the world. So we got Steel Power Products and fairly good sized dealership, all family run. My dad owns it, and my uncles work here with us, and we also farm a couple thousand acres and that, and always kind of try to stay busy doing something, whether it's tractor pulling, farming, or snowmobiling.
And Jeff, I don't know if you realize this, but we're up close to 50,000 different viewers of this podcast since it started. So this is free advertisement for Bill's Implement Sales in Port Clinton, Ohio. For those of you who don't know, Port Clinton, outside Sandusky, Ohio, right on Erie.
Yes,
that's a Great Lake there. Right on Lake Erie.
County.
Best of the best lawn and garden equipment. Jeff, can you go on public record and give a discount? We know we all hear these discounts. If someone comes in and mentions the No Practice Podcast, is there some type of discount we can get for future Bill's Implement Sales buyers, or can you not do that?
We can do something.
Okay. So there you go. Tell Bill tomorrow morning the line will be out the door whenever the door is open for a discount on from weed eaters to zero-turn mowers at Bill's Implement Sales, Port Clinton, Ohio. Thanks for that little feedback there, Jeff.
I never realized my father collected chainsaws until he met Jeff Hirt, and it seems like at least once or twice a week, or once or twice a year, sorry, he comes home with a new chainsaw, and he's like, "Yeah, Pick this up from Jeff's. Fucker's
Hey.
fuel injected. You can start it in one pull in 20-degree weather. I'm like, cool, Dad. You getting into logging?
Hey, so Jeff,
He's got like
he
a
always-
dozen chainsaws.
every year for the Make-A-Wish auction at Bowling Green, Jeff always donates some equipment, weed eaters, leaf blowers, backpack leaf blowers. This year, I know exactly what you're saying because I was bidding against Bruce Slaw for the backpack leaf blower, and
Did you win that? No, you did
no,
not.
I did not.
No,
Sure didn't.
no.
I wanted two things. I wanted a picture of Carlton Cope's Pro Stock and that backpack leaf blower. And those numbers got ran up so high, I almost had to ask Chase for money.
I don't have any.
Bruce
No,
Farms.
but that's
Oh.
really
this
nice.
year.
No,
Just-
I can see
just-
we see the stuff on the outside. What is some of the latest purchases Bruce has done? I know he's been selling some shit, but what has he been buying here lately?
Oh, he's
Is
just
he-
trying to buy more farmland. It's hard to afford a dozen chainsaws a year, farming only 80 acres and affording a pulling operation. But that guy, he pulls it off
What about
better
the
than
duck?
anybody I know.
What is
I
Yeah.
don't think we've never done
speaking
a
of the
former
duck
Bruce
boat-
segment on here.
Hang on. So the duck boat Adam just referenced, which is a 1940s amphibious military vehicle that's 6-wheel drive and it looks like a giant tank. Yes, he bought 2 of them. And ironically enough, Adam, guess who was involved with the duck boat purchase? Mr. Jeff Hirt.
Are you kidding me?
I am not even kidding.
Oh my god!
Talk us through the process of how you somehow got Bruce to purchase 2 amphibious 1940s military tanks, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, we were. I don't even remember where we were at. I mentioned there was an ad or something up in Wisconsin about the duck boats, and I said, "Yeah, I got a neighbor got a couple of them for sale." He says, "Really? Send me some pictures." So we sent pictures, and next thing you know, he says, "Why don't you get them bought?" He had a number in mind, and she took the number, and I got him back to the shop, and we did put the one across the pond, and it made it. So
Jesus.
it was quite entertaining.
Sounds like money well spent.
Yes,
Yeah.
my friends and I recently pulled the carburetor apart on that old duck boat and rebuilt it, and we just got the generator rebuilt, and our plan is to actually take it out on the water this spring/summer with quite a few people, and I'm sure we'll get some looks, and I'm sure you got some looks driving it through your pond. And you know we've got a lot to talk about on this podcast because we got halfway through a story about Jeff Hirt driving a combine, one of 2 stories about him driving a combine and stopping at a hotel. We gotta finish that, or I'm gonna go to sleep wondering
From
how that ended,
Indianapolis.
Jeff. You stopped at a hotel.
Yeah,
you
you stopped.
Max speed 24 miles an hour. You got to go 180 miles. You drove halfway, a couple of beers, stopped at a hotel. Everything went fine. How'd it go? You got to have some
Everything
stories.
went-
Talk about how you parked it first.
We just pulled in there and in the side lot, the truck parking. Yeah, that was no big deal. The only reason we was in a hurry is because actually that was back and Lane was young. I believe Jess was pregnant with Brett. She was on maternity leave or something like that, or maybe Lane was that young. I don't remember. My memory sucks. But we wind up. We was gonna go. I says, "Hey, you want to go to Florida?" She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "But I got to get this combine to Wabash, so I got to drive that out there first, and then come pick me up. We'll leave tomorrow morning. We'll head to Disney." So I got most of the way out there and figured getting through some of the not knowing where we were going. So we stopped and went back, left, and finished the deal up, and come home and drove to Disney.
Main roads or side roads with this thing? I mean, what are you driving?
Did you
this
get on the
did take
interstate?
24 around some parts out there in Indiana. I don't remember exactly where that was at, but
So when I check into a hotel, they ask me the make and model vehicle I'm driving. Did you have
License
to
plate.
list that it was a John Deere combine when you checked in?
Yep, John Deere 860, whatever it was.
And
Jesus.
was that the first time you drove a combine long distance, but not the last time? Is that correct?
That was the only time I've drove one long distance. Dad drove the other one home from Muncie. He drove actually it was the same combine. He drove it. He did it first. He drove it home from Muncie, and we ran it 2 or 3 years, whatever, and sold it at the auction out there and bought a different one. Then
So is the person on the receiving end like, how are you going to get this thing out here? And you're like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just drive it.
Well, that story goes back to the late 70s. When Dad was in business here. I sold an old timer from down in coal country in southeastern Ohio, down kind of near Archers. Old guy bought a tractor from Dad, and he said, well, I'll be up next week. He said, I'm going to drive it home. Dad said, well, you don't want to drive it that far. He put his hand on Dad's shoulder. He said, son, if that tractor won't drive down the road all day, it sure as hell won't pull a plow. That's, well, I guess you got a point.
He ain't wrong.
Well said.
So
Jeff, we've been talking a lot about. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say, so Jeff, since we're talking about traveling stories here, we always ask all of our people on the show here, what is one of your most memorable stories driving to and from a pool? I know you've been coming or going pulling since a little kid, but do you have a story that sticks out to you of traveling, whether something happened with the vehicle or just something you ran into along the way?
Yeah, we'll just go with last year on the way to Mount Sterling or whatever. I believe Chase was supposed to ride with me on that trip. They were pulling somewhere in Indiana or whatever that night, or Chad was, and he was riding back with Chad to Chad's. I was going to pick him up. He was going to ride with us and all that. So we're headed to Chad's, and hour or so away, and son of a bitch, if there wasn't a deer in the road. Knocked the headlight, bumper, and hood, and all that. So we get to Chad's, and we get the screw gun out, some duct tape, and we went pulling.
Yeah, you always got to. Chase has had a couple. Well, once I think they lost a steer tire, and I think they showed up the next pull. There was a 2x4 with a couple of flashlights, basically on the fender there, just to get there. But you never know what you're gonna run into on the road. Literally.
The other part Jeff mentioned that failed to mention about that story was half of the deer was still left on his truck whenever he got there. But for the environmentalists out there, but half of the deer was still in the truck. I'll give you the real version of it. Yeah, Jeff, we've been talking a lot about super stock pulling. Want to get your thoughts on some knee-rod pulling here in a second, and then overall the sport of pulling. Again, the numbers are great. We had a couple good questions. Someone just asked a question. Get your side of the story of waking up on Larry Richwine's house. But this is a family show. Let's pivot from that. But anyway, a good segue here. You're fierce competitor, hard-nosed competitor. If you know enough about obviously both classes, you won a championship in both of them this year. If you had to get through, all right. So if you had to have a super stock driver drive your mini rod for one event that you have to win for the biggest purse in history, you can't drive it, but it has to be a super stock driver drive that mini rod. Who would be the person that would drive it, and then if he can't do it, name the next two that you'd have in mind to do it.
Oh, top three.
Top three. Number one being your first go-to. Super stock pullers in a mini rod.
Man, most of them are.
Knowing how they are.
I guess I'd have to probably shoot for Frank Keener. He's one of the smallest guys I can think of in the class right now. Just without.
Look at Jeff. He's always thinking about that stuff.
Oh, you got it at the front end. Right?
Weight is no issue.
That's debatable. All right, Frank Keener for your first choice. Frank Keener is unavailable. He's running somewhere else that weekend. Who's second? Your third option?
Don't have to be super stock pullers.
No, it's super stock only.
Oh, shit. Well, as long as the scale is gifting, we'll put Josh Blackburn in it.
Oh,
Josh Blackburn, number two.
Yeah, he might need a cab forward design. That's going to have to be a PPL pull.
Yeah,
he's gonna have boys. I don't
the
think
pedals on the outside. He's a little longer.
Frank Keener's at another Blackburn's down with the hangover flu. Who's your third guy? You have to have a super stock puller. Who are you going with?
We'll put Bobby Jones in it.
Bobby Jones, like super stock.
Jones.
You kind of gray area. Okay, we're going to flip it now. Super stock, hook, mini rod driver, in order. Who's the first person you call? Then that person is not there. Second, third option. Who are you going with?
First.
Bruce
first.
Paid
attention because we've had this talk that someday he's going to have to drive it. I think he likes that idea, and I think we need to do that.
I think Bruce needs to own it, isn't it, for sale?
That'd be great. Tyler needs a lot more to do.
Bruce is unavailable that weekend. Bruce is unavailable that weekend because he's out working on his farm with his individual plants. And that's another story we'll get into another day. Each plant had its name. Farmer
That's
Bruce
right.
story from Tyler. But Bruce is available. Who's your second and third options?
We'll put you in it, Chase.
No, come on. It can't be one of us three.
Yep. I asked the question.
No,
Answer.
you can't make rules up after we.
Chase can't drive a clutch.
Yeah.
I can't even drive a 2-wheel drive. I didn't get in the farm show, so how the hell am I going to drive that thing?
Well,
Who's next in line? The seat's hot, Jeff. You got to give an answer. Please say Kid Vinny.
Oh.
Kevin Campbell.
Kevin Campbell. That's almost like a cheat.
Yeah,
Good call right there.
That's cheat
That's
code.
a cheat code.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it is.
no, you can't match the fact. So there we go in the event. Farmer Bruce will be in the run bear day, and then when he can't do it, we'll go to Kevin as Plan B. So, Jeff, mini rods. Tell everyone out there just the difference. What actually? I don't even know what made you get in the mini rod class. You've had a Hall of Fame historic super stock career. Why mini rods? Outside Sebastian class and pulling.
I think most of it's the excitement of, like you say, it just, you never know what's going to happen. It's kind of on the edge and all that. But mostly, I think I have to say is I'm tired of working as hard as you have to keep a super stock up there.
What do you think about cutting the tires? How you feeling about that?
We used to cut the super tires about this much, so it don't bother me. It got to where the super tires were so expensive that I don't touch them. I let Chad do that. Now it's damn near to the point where these things are gentle enough that if you get too deep or this and that, it's peeling the lugs off. So I kind of try to let Chad do some of it too, because I'll do it a little bit, but I don't like to let it. I don't like to create that much issue with the tire myself.
Well, speaking
Yeah,
of tires, Jeff, just how many sets of mini rod tires do you have there on your compound? And I've been there, so don't you lie.
I think there's 20 sets sitting here currently.
20 sets, so 40
He'll have 21
tires.
because he's buying a set for me. So
Look at that. That's impressive. Do you think you have more sets of mini rod tires than any other competitor?
Nope.
Does Kevin Campbell have more?
I believe.
Impressive. So between the two of you, you've got in excess of 80 plus mini rod tires.
Kevin made the comment the one day. He says, if we get a couple more sets, he says, I think we could tire the whole field at Bowling Green.
That's impressive.
Let me ask
So
you
hey,
this
Tyler,
question,
or Adam,
'cause-
either one. Hey, hang on real quick. Give me a mark on the board because this is
I
about
got
growing
you.
up sport.
to it.
We're putting
this
you
is
down.
about growing up sport. It's about growing up sport. So for those people who listen for the first time, I think this is a good time. We do talk about mini rod pulling, but we've had Adam Bauer here. But explain the significance of tires Kevin and Campbell and Jeff have, and why that's like a big deal in the landscape of our class. I'll let one of you two talk about it and kind of how it's been like tires have been an evolving deal.
I would like Jeff to explain that.
Oh yeah, Jeff, explain it. And then we give it.
Tell
Jeff,
us why you have
answer it.
20 sets of tires.
Why do you
Jeff.
have 20 sets? They make them every day. Why do you have 20 sets of tires?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Part of the reason, like when we rolled over there, I mean, we tried something that nobody had done on that new tire, and we thought
Well,
it
I
was
don't
going
know
to.
about that, buddy. But go ahead.
No, on that one. Yeah. Well, no. Carry on.
No, who else has tried one of them with a 30-degree lug on it
We have.
on a 2023 tire?
Yep.
Oh.
Just saying.
Interesting.
So, hey, but Jeff, if you change your front tires, you wouldn't have rolled over.
That's right. You need
That
golf cart
probably
tires.
would have.
so it's finish up. So
Half of it, in my opinion, is the way.
this is for the fans. This is for the fans, not us, because we're going to give our version of
In my
it.
opinion, I believe is the weight of the tire and the fact that it gives up when it pulls really hard, and the tractor doesn't get as out of control and stupid. They don't work as good as the new tire, but they go further because they don't hook as well. And I ain't smart enough to make the tractor work with a tire that works better than these. So I choose to use the old tires, and I have run quite a few passes on the new stuff. And a lot of people don't even believe in some of them we have, but we're learning a little bit with them. And, but you can't treat them like you can the old tires. I mean, you can beat on it with the old tires, and it's a lot more forgiving. Kevin Campbell, Cody, we all kind of joke around with it. That's our training wheels.
Probably more weight than anything in it, because aren't they?
It's actually, I mean, I got a brand new set that's within 2 pounds of one of my set of CPACs.
Really? Well, I mean, Chad's been working on the tire too. I mean, we're talking about when they first initially came out, they're really heavy, and I think it scared everybody a lot with them, just because of the weight and the size kind of changed some stuff too. But I mean, the tire situation has been what it is. I mean, we're working through it. Eventually, those things will be completely gone because you guys own all of them. But I mean, shit, I got 3 tractors in one set. It's really pointless for me to keep one set to try to. I'm gonna have to get rid of them eventually, so might as well get rid of them while they're good. To Jeff, so, but I mean, Chase is making these rules like every week now. So what happens whenever? I mean, I'm going to bring up a legitimate question. So in NASCAR, NHRA, anything like that, they provide the tires for the race, right? Everybody runs the same tire. That being said, you don't see any 12, 8, 6-year-old tires floating around out there. They're all, fairly new. So what happens if NTPA brings in the idea to put a date code minimum year on a 2022? If it's 2024, 2022 is the oldest tire that you go, then what the fuck do you do?
And to be clear, if that sounds
I go
ridiculous,
run with Tyler.
That was discussed, correct?
Right,
Jeff?
What's that?
Discuss what was.
To people out there that rule potentially sounds ridiculous. That was discussed, mandating a year
There's
threshold.
some people that have brought it up, but I mean, it's never happened in Pullins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying as far as, I mean, obviously that hurts your situation, but I mean, if you think about it, they're putting mandates on these tires, and I will go back every time. I'm just going to say this every time. They want us to run a 30 lug tire. They want the width to be this wide. They want all this shit with these tires. They want us to do because it's going to make us safer. They still can't tell us how long the fucking track is.
How long are the tracks, Adam? They're not.
That's what I'm saying. How long are the tracks? But
Adam, hit your Wi-Fi cord real quick.
why? I'm just saying.
This is a good segment.
No, I heard that was somebody told me that was a conversation that they were going to put a date code year on the tire, and it's like, oh, I mean,
never heard nothing like that.
Jeff,
I've heard
comments, questions, thoughts, ideas.
All I can say is it's never happened in Poland. Poland's always been about hand-me-downs, pass it around. That's how you get up a step. You sell it down the pipe.
Sure.
And that's one reason this class is as strong as it is. One of the reasons I liked it, I should have brought that up earlier. The rules are the same everywhere. I don't care whether you go regional Poland, national Poland.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have everything the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Both
So for you fans tuning in, for you new pulling fans that are just tuning in again, we're not here. We're not here for a pissing contest of old tires versus new tires. Even though we can piss all day with one another on philosophies or what works, what doesn't work. We're here to explain the dynamics of this class specifically. And Jeff gave his version of the weight and the performance, and everybody runs their own race. But long story short, in my opinion, I'll let Tyler and Adam have their time here. In the mini rod class, there's a new style tire that's not like an old tire. They perform totally different, and they have been a challenge. And some guys have chosen to ride the old tire train as they should or want to, just like it's a strategy anyone takes. And then some guys have sold out to run new tires, and they've done well with them. Some have sucked, some have been good, and it's just competition. And it makes for a storyline within a storyline. So those of you that don't know for the first time, we heckled Jeff because he's come into the class and basically my nickname for him off the CPEC because he has a lot of old Dick CPEC tires sitting around. But we're here to inform and grow the sport, not getting a pissing contest. But we'll go back to pissing right now. Carry on, Adam.
Well, I was just saying, it like people do not see that with the tire situation. It is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I look at it as, I think a lot of the safety issues that I look at that kind of make me mad are because of this new tire. And I don't believe we should have all these changes that we have. But obviously somebody's has a hard on for this class right now because we're getting more rules implemented than basically any other class, I believe.
And they can't tell us how long the track's
on.
Exactly. You cannot, but they still want to be. They act like they're the most professional organization and have all this shit in line, but still they cannot tell us if we're pulling on a 300 or 350 foot track. It's been 10 years and they still can't tell us how fucking far we're pulling.
That's right. And on the topic of tires, CJ comments
Hang on. Hang on, Adam. I gotta say this. If they mandate your front tires at all mini rods, and everyone has to run your front tires, can we run as far as we want to run?
I don't give a fuck if we run 400 feet as long as we do it every week. I mean, it's a big change. It's a big change in your gearing. For people to understand, if you're going to run 300 feet, it takes this gear. If you're going to fucking 350, it takes a totally different gear.
So to summarize the tires,
they're worried about safety. So you put a gear in this fucking run 360 because that's what you've been going for the last couple of weeks, and they chain you down to 300, and they wonder why the tractor's flipped over halfway down the track. Fuck, you got it in the wrong gear. It's a big change.
But it's a lot of fun, and we love it.
Well, I don't care. That's why I love the class. I really enjoy it, but I mean, it's just bullshit to me that they can't figure out. For 10 years, they still can't figure out how long the fucking track is.
The biggest thing for those, to summarize it, is it's like the new tires work so good where if everything falls right, you're going to cover everybody with old tires, but they are not very forgiving. And so everything better fall right. You better have enough front end weight. And so the risk reward, the risk reward is there. So like, if you're going to like high wager, the new tires are where it's at, but they can get sketchy, as a lot of us saw this past year. But that makes for good clips, doesn't it, Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, hell, it gets you put on the internet.
That's right.
Jeff, do you mind taking us through? Did you mind us taking through what happened in that mini rod rollover wreck? We didn't get to that part, but this is we're doing the first part super stock, second half mini rod. What happened there? Other than you ran tires, nobody's ever ran.
30-degree lugs, a lot of traction.
Yep, but boy, do they work now that we changed a couple other things for it.
Right.
Pretty happy with them set of tires now.
What'd you change, Jeff?
We put your motor in there.
Well, then you would have really went backwards. You did that.
Yeah, no shit. We'd have rolled over all that power.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Jeff, the sport of pulling, we all love it. We all are here to grow it. What is one thing you would change if you're a decision maker to help grow the sport, grow the audience? I know you're Jeff Hirt. You're going to do what Jeff Hirt wants to do, but you'd also like to see it one day where there's potentially a way you could do this for, I'm not saying a living, but cover your costs. That'd be nice. What would you change to help get it to that point? And it could be multiple answers.
I think one of the biggest thing is they need to get more parity in the class between organizations, not mini rod, but the other classes. I mean, the super stock and the mods bounce back and forth and this and that. But I think the biggest thing that makes the two-wheel drive in the mini rod class is the consistency of rules.
Right.
The problem is they're too quick and too easy to change the rules because somebody's come in and got something different and winning. It was allowed, you did it, and rather than letting things move up and get to there, they just separate and change the way they have in the diesel and alcohol class, and now it's coming back to where.
But then it hurts your numbers, and then they change the rules back and begging you to come
and then
back.
It's too late. Yeah.
It killed the class.
it's frustrating how you outlaw things and you separate it and then expect it to thrive. And it's just,
well, for anybody who don't know, Jeff Hirt is supported NTPA, PPL, any of them, as long as you could. If there was a pool on the moon, this man would be there. He has supported everything. They built
unless they make you run your cars. Unless they
They
make you
built
run
the
your cars,
tractor
you
to be
wouldn't know.
legal. They built the tractor to be legal. They run. A lot of people were doing really good. A lot of people started bitching. They outlaw them after numerous years of running, just like Slaw's chassis. It's not like you guys came out and ran 1 year and they outlawed it. It was 10 years, or not 10 years, but we're getting there. And then they up and change the rules. They change the rules. They run you off. They go and do something else. And then all of a sudden, you're only getting 5 tractors to show up to the pool. And then all of a sudden, the hooks keep going down from 10 hooks. I mean, hell, to win a super stock championship in one of the years, you might only have to go to 2-3 fucking pools. But then the numbers get so bad and they want to keep the class going. Then they're like, oh shit, let's change the rule back so they come back. And then they want you to come back, and you have come back and supported them. I mean, did not infuriate you whenever you did that? You built the tractor?
it's super frustrating, but I mean, I've been used to getting kicked in the balls. I mean, we had a 504 cubic inch alcohol tractor in the beginning and they was starting to separate the classes and all that. And the guys that were all in there already in that Blackburn and Lostic and all that, they're like, you got to tell them it's 600. You can't tell them it's 504 and that. And it didn't help anything. I mean, they separated the class. I mean, it just, the biggest, and I don't know, we're just dumb enough to keep doing it. It is infuriating. It's super frustrating. You work that hard and they kick you in the balls. And I mean, they've changed it. They've separated them. And I guess I'm dumb enough to just keep coming back and trying again to.
One of the few, I mean, really.
And that's the sad part. And it's part of what's happening. Like you say, I mean, it's hard to grow numbers when there's no consistency. And I mean, it's hard for a builder, anybody out there, to be building engines to where shit's available when they're not knowing what the rules are, when you don't have customers that want to be there because, you know, they're not going to spend that kind of money for a class that, well, hell, I'm going to get outlawed if I win.
Is the V8 stuff better than the inline 6 as far as reliability, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. It's a hell of a lot more work to work on. I kind of wish that we would have pursued some other stuff on the 6-cylinder instead of doing what we did. But Terry showed a lot of promise when
there was a lot of stuff there, man. He was dominating when that engine first came out. But Dre's were scratching the surface, man. They were ahead of the times. They just didn't have a few.
They had a couple little itty bitty things that they missed, and I mean, it just a little steel hanging in the combustion chamber was the biggest problem.
Wow, amazing. Well,
since we're back on the super stock subject, and Tyler's going to go into another fun segment here, but I'd have to clear up one thing. Is the story true? And if it is true, really quickly tell us the time you're underneath your super stock, welding the oil pan up, and it blew up. The alcohol ignited and it blew up. Is that true, or is that like the deep freeze story? It
is kind of like the deep freeze story. The tractor was brand new. It was 99.
The same guy who drove about 200 miles across a state line. So I'm sure all these stories are fabricated. Carry on, Jeff.
I was welding the weight bar on to the chassis, the belly bar bracket, and we had a Enderley check valve that was machined crooked, and it put a ton of alcohol in the pan, and then it lit the blow by and the fuel in the pan, and it went boom.
So for anybody who don't know, hanging back by that weight bracket is would you say blow by tube?
Well,
right,
it was actually the tube going to the puke tank.
I gotcha.
It went into the pan, and it did split the pan, and it was I think it was 8-inch aluminum, and it wrapped the pan up around the frame rail.
Holy!
Okay,
so imagine on my face, and it blew the batteries out of the welding helmet. They was probably 150 feet from where it happened.
Fuck.
I'd like to think the watch batteries for the welding helmet just landed in your eyes like eyes.
They were actually double A's.
Oh, geez.
It was an old helmet.
Wow.
And
Hey, so
I come out of
so
there.
Jeff,
I actually crawled out from under it, and the oil was just like body temperature. I come out. I thought it was blood all over my face. I'm like, oh fuck, this is bad. I'm over to the sink and then they're talking about
Anybody
taking me to
else
the
there?
hospital. Oh yeah, Dad was there. Dennis Johnson was actually on the phone with the tire cutter up in with Mark Korth or Hawthorne
Right.
or one of them about curing or cutting tires or something. And he's like, I gotta go. He might be dead. And he hung the phone up.
Wow.
Nobody's
And,
ever been happier to have their face covered with engine oil instead of something else.
I thought it was blood and that. And finally, I'm getting it washed out and that. And then they're all like, well, we got to take you to the hospital. I'm like, for what? We got a tractor to finish. We got to run in Hamburg, New York here in 2 days. 3 days, I guess it was.
And it needs a new oil
So then
pan.
we wind up in the hospital, intensive care, all that, CAT scans and that. Didn't find anything in there.
You still went to the hospital, Jeff? What do you think?
I didn't have a choice. My sister was just starting to work in the hospital at the same time and that, and my dad called
She needed
her.
work, right? She
That's
needed work.
It, that's it. She had car payments.
It's
So they get me in there and all that. Then we go to the, I don't know what the hell it was. Dr. Boo Yu was his name. Booyoo was his name. And he was looking at the CAT scans and all this shit. And my mom says, well, can he drive this tractor or whatever? It's competition and all this and that. He's like, well, is he going to get shook around? She's like, well, he could. Says, well, then no, he shouldn't drive it for at least 2 weeks. And I said, okay. We come back a week later and he says, you drove the tractor, didn't you? Was the first words out of his mouth. Well, yeah. I'm laying in the hospital in intensive care or whatever where they're doing all this shit. And I called Dad on the cell phone because there was some things not completely finished on the brake pedal mounts and this and that. When we just fired this brand new tractor and the oil pan kind of needed a little bit of weld. So I says, get a hold of Brian Diekman. Hopefully he can save our ass. And Brian come through. He beat the pan all back and welded it up. And they finished some things. A couple days later, I get out and I get in the trailer, go to sleep. We haul ass to Hamburg, New York.
Jesus. Not gonna stop you.
If this isn't the greatest motorsport in the world, I think Billy Beers had the Bowling Green battle cry. That's your battle cry on why this shit's badass. Jeff Hirt blew himself up in his shop, well in the weight bracket, in intensive care, gets out and goes and pulls a tractor. I love it.
Jeff, if I didn't know any better, Jeff.
I've never heard that story. I never heard that story.
Yes, if I didn't know any better, Jeff, I would have thought you were making that up. And speaking of making things up, we've got a segment coming up called Two Truths and One Lie that I hope you're prepared for.
I did not. Nobody warned me of that.
This is the No Practice Podcast. 2 truths and 1 lie.
All right, Jeff. Well, it sounds like Chase didn't warn you. We heard, but what 2 truths?
We don't have to warn you. No, we don't have to warn you. This is our show. You can hit the Adam button.
So you have to tell us 3 statements, okay? Now listen closely because Billy Beers, albeit a phenomenal guest, he failed to grasp this. So 3 statements, 2 of them, okay? 2 of them are going to be truths and 1 is going to be a lie. Now you want to tell us these 3 things as if they are all truths. It's then up to us 3 to decipher which one of those statements is in fact a lie.
And don't say them in that order either. I mean, it's not I'm pretty sure the last time people were like 2 truths, 1 lie, and they said it in that order.
Okay. Did we talk enough? You've digested this statement?
I think I get this.
No, they don't have to.
Do we need to take intermission?
Related. Don't be like, I won the Indy Super Bowl in 2006. Like,
I do need an intermission. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay, he needs an intermission. Do you guys think he's grabbing a beer or taking a pee? Chase, what do you think?
He's taking a leak for sure.
You can't tell. He's always pretty antsy. He might be.
He drinks hot beer. He doesn't need one in the fridge. He's got a hot. I mean, I don't know if he does voluntarily, but he does in this scenario. But polling fans across the world, let us know what you think he's doing. The comments are coming in. We have a poll going right now. Beer, piss, beer, piss.
Jeff is able to answer with piss break standby while he's pissing on a podcast.
I don't know what happens quicker, Jeff Hirt getting out of his tractor after a fire or him taking a piss, because that was...
And texting on his phone that he has to take a piss.
Jeff, we have hundreds of comments about speculation of what you're doing. Did you go piss or did you go get a beer?
I had to piss. The beer's in the
Okay.
house. It would have took longer.
I was going to say, you drink hot beer if you have to, right?
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Good kinds of beer.
Pulling fans, nothing but the
Campbell
truth
wants to know,
sharing
did
this
you wash your hands?
podcast.
Lindsey Campbell wants to know if you washed your hands.
Do you wash your hands?
That thing's clean, isn't it, Jeff? That thing's clean.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, Brian Connor always told me, he says, you go to the bathroom, wash your hands. He says, because you got to keep your Peter clean. I says,
Jeff, this is a family show.
oh, see, you mean before you pee then?
That's right.
Breaking news. We had 2 rules put in last week for Billy Beers. We'll have a Jeff Hirt rule put in for our next guest.
They were not YouTube
rules.
They were not YouTube strikes. There was Chase strikes. He was a little worried about some of the wordage. Some of our fans really enjoyed some of those things that they were saying. We have to almost put a disclaimer on the show saying that we are not responsible what comes out of these clowns' mouths at sometimes, but they might be racist or whatever. But who knows?
The funniest part about this call with Jeff today, Jeff and I are really good friends, just like we all are. For those that don't know, but I say, Jeff, hey, there's a couple things I just have to say to you because Billy Beers put us in another time zone. He's like, oh man, I get it. I would never say nothing like that. I know this is about kids and family. And then anyway, as the show goes, you never know which way we're going to go. So
I tell my boys always, wash your hands before you pee.
You don't want to touch that thing with your dirty hands.
Back at 2 truths and 1 lie.
All right,
Jeff was officially pissing. So 2 truths, 1 lie.
You've had an entire pee break to digest 2 truths and 1 lie. Are you ready with your 3 statements?
No.
If you are, tell us yes.
Not exactly. Give me a second here.
Not exactly.
we're burning up material. We're talking about bidets and taking pisses here and all this stuff. We're running out of stuff to talk about.
Oh, we'll never run out of stuff to talk about here.
I can hit Jeff with another question, but is he going to be able to answer that while also subconsciously thinking about the other?
Jeff, is that yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, Jeff, tell us about the time you were you were late to a tractor pull because you had to stop and buy a Chihuahua on the way there.
That's another one that wasn't quite true.
Jesus.
That's half the story. You guys are getting like stories.
Hey,
You guys got bad information. I'm not asking any of these questions, so they're getting bad information.
3 sides every story, Jeff. The No Practice Podcast trademark, 3 sides every story.
Tell us about the Chihuahua alleged rumor.
Okay, we got a Chihuahua while we was out there, but it had nothing to do with the time we was late at a pull. We was out at Doug Downs and we was headed, and I found a Chihuahua on the internet or whatever for sale. It might have
As one does.
It was quite a while. But I missed something.
People buy Chihuahuas on the internet.
Yeah,
I just said
as one does because not everybody's just
okay.
like,
I couldn't hear you there. So
yeah, go ahead.
So we're taking this new dog home and all that, and no big deal. But the other one that I'm assuming they're talking about being late to a tractor pull. I mean, do you got more details for this? I mean, I don't want to admit to things that I maybe shouldn't.
This is a podcast. This is what we're here to grow the sport and grow your brand, Jeff. Always admit everything. Go ahead.
The details that I got, Jeff, were that you were running late to Arcola because you had to stop to get a puppy Chihuahua, possibly named Godzilla, allegedly can't confirm. Your dad held up the pull for you to drive the semi to the scales, unload the tractor that still needed to be finished, finish putting it together, run across the scale, make a pull off, win the pull off, all on ESPN. True or false?
False. The Chihuahua was a different trip. We was late because it had a wheel bearing from an Illinois hook. And I was at Doug Downs. In fact, Craig Pollock and Jamie Austin helped me facilitate that deal. We got it all back together. Well, let me rephrase it. We did not have it all back together. We had the tractor back together enough we could get it in the trailer. Dad said, you'll make it. Dave Presume was involved in the deal. Truckee was with me. He helped drive. I don't think he had a driver's license, but he helped drive. We may have turned around in a ball diamond that trip because we made a wrong turn. Got into Arcola. I'd call it fashionably late, but we was really late. instead. We get there, and Brian Dickman's mom had a handful of bolts for the roll cage. My father, I mean, this is where I learned all about safety. So I'll just give me 2 of them. Put 2 bolts in the roll cage, and we got to the scales, sent it, hauled ass, made a full pull on that. And they're
to clarify, Jeff, you put the 2 bolts in, weighed it, then you put the remainder of the bolts in before you made
No. We went from the scales to the hook. There was no time to stop.
Okay, go on.
So,
And you wonder why Marvin Epperson loves you so much.
hey, that was ATPA. He ain't got nothing to worry about there.
Who was
Carry
the
on,
technical ATP?
carry on the story.
So we make a full pull or whatever. They come up and that they're acting like it's blowed up and all this and that. It was smoking a little bit, some oil running on the exhaust. And old Ken Stout's up there. He's like, but it's smoking everywhere and this and that and all that. I'm like, yeah, it's ready for another hit. He's like, well, it's not tore up. I'm like, I don't think so. It's just hot. But we come back and run it to pull off, and it won.
Very nice.
With two bolts in the roll cage.
Okay, speaking of that, and all the fashionably late, whatever you want to call it, have you ever sent one down the track where you absolutely knew the thing was going to tear up?
From being late, no.
Well, I'm not saying not being from being late, but like you're running it knowing that it's going to tear it up.
Absolutely. Last hook of not this season, but the last Canfield, they run me 375 feet. I pulled the throttle back. Jackie comes up holding her head, and that I'm like, just reset it, pull me right back though. We pull it back there. We're going to we cleaned the filter. Kevin Campbell standing there helping. We cleaned the filter. Everything looked good. I said, dump a couple gallon of oil in it. Try to cool it off and that. And it holds 12 gallons. So I figured another couple gallons. What the hell? I'd put a little on the ground if worse come to worse. I go to hit the starter button. It goes clunk. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. We hit her about 4 times and it shook loose. We went up there and Colin won it. I think we was second though. And when it was all said and done, the piston was upside down, crossways, and in the pan, but the rod stayed in it.
Wow.
Is it so? We're getting on some other subjects. Is that tied into the story when you welded up the 903 crank and then you proceeded to win a championship at Wheatland? Is that so? Since you can't do the 2 truths, 1 lie yourself, we're just going to do it for you. Is it true about you welding up the 903 crank and then going to win a championship at Wheatland?
The crank we welded up and went on to win was the 6-cylinder.
But you won it at Wheatland.
It was welded in the block. I was told
you welded an extra counterweight. You welded an extra counterweight.
Oh,
and then yes.
No, that was the 903 that we added extra weight on. But we actually had a broken journal in the main at just before Wheatland. I don't know, that would have been 2011, I think it was. We ground it out with a die grinder, TIG welded it, filed it, never took it out of the block, put some bluing on it, and that, filed the high spots, and wound up surviving and winning the deal.
So that's a truth. Okay. Jeff, 2 truths, 1 lie. Let's get this wrapped up for the fans. Actually, no, I think we've done enough 2 truths right now. Let's I think we got some polling fan questions that we want to run by Mr. Excitement himself. Again, record numbers once again on the show. At some point, we'll probably not keep doing this, but when you have people like Jeff Hirt telling real candid stories and then the rest is nonsense, this has been an organic and exciting growth. We actually have some new T-shirt suggestions, Jeff. Do you want to hear about that? So last week it was "Don't Fuck with Billy Beers" T-shirts. We sold almost 50 for the holidays. Now we have suggestions for the Jeff Hirt shirt that says "Jeff Hirt Life Advice: Wash your hands before you pee." Would you be interested in branding that yourself?
Yeah, you should always wash your hands. So yeah.
Okay. Back office director. Let's hit Jeff with a couple of these fan questions. This has been a great show, Jeff. Thank you again. Pulling season's coming here fast, and it's fun to get you on here. I've told you for a long time since this got going that we wanted to get this up and going a little bit before we brought you on, because you do have your own following, whether if you want to admit it or not.
Well, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. What you're doing here and that, and I just this I don't like talking in front of all this. I'd rather drink some beers and bullshit with you guys. But hey, it's kind of what it was.
That's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing. People just been watching.
Yeah, and that's usually how it is.
Yeah, and if you put Adam's front tires in your tractor, you'll never flip over. Order tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to get me a set of them.
They're cheaper than the ones that are on there. I can tell you that.
I might need a set of them for this new experiment in Florida.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You gonna drive it, Chase?
So before you got the farm show coming up, what else do you have coming up pulling wise on the Jeff Hirt itinerary?
Tomorrow at Total Flow is going to decide a lot of that with how much love the big heads need and where we're at with that, and then see what direction we head with the new Hemi and the new SCS driveline stuff, and if we can get it done and get it tested yet this winter.
So you're going to go to Florida and pull at the Ocala tractor pull?
I'm kind of hoping to, but like I say, more of that'll be figured out tomorrow with how much work we have to do on the one that has to run. That's Dad's tractor. That's the important one.
Adam, Tyler, when is your next outing rods?
We plan to run at the Pullers Championship and hopefully at the truck show, provided we are allowed to run there. I haven't quite gotten that in writing yet.
That's a good announcement. The Pullers Championship, pulling fans, you people that don't know, there's in mid-May that fans vote who's out. Tyler and Jeff have automatic bids, I believe. Their team, there's 4 automatic bids that they have down. Votes up for grabs. You can vote for me, vote for Adam. I didn't get enough votes. Adam declined his invite. So many classes. Yeah. That amongst many classes you can get on and vote. It's kind of a cool fan interaction deal. I think it's Google the Pullers Championship. It's on Facebook. It's on all platforms. Like I said, Jeff and Tyler, how did you get in, Tyler? How are you locked into that deal?
I think because I won Friday last year, and then I wrecked everything and made all of the highlight reels by crashing everything on Saturday.
Making new rules for the tractor.
Yeah,
That's how you
those
got
new
in?
tires. We talked about those new tires being just high risk reward, and that weekend pretty much summed it up with reward and risk the second day. Speaking of risk, Jeff, before we let you go, we're encroaching this 2-hour mark. I have to touch on the story of you when you went snowmobiling with Bruce and you took a little ride on a luggage cart in a hotel. Is that correct? Do you recall that, or are the details a little fuzzy?
Still a little fuzzy. I've heard stories of this stuff.
Can you recap us on how that went, just based on what you've been told?
Not exactly.
Well, I had heard that you were riding a luggage cart in a hotel hallway, and somebody took a sharp right and shoved you down a flight of stairs on a luggage rack, and that flight of stairs had a single turn in it, and you barely recalled it the next day. The only thing that triggered the conversation was your face hurt a little bit, and everybody had to fill you in on that. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, you'll have days like that.
Yeah,
he's got CTE from the oil pan blowing up in his fucking face.
Finally, we can bring
the
up
stairs. Just re-triggered a little concussion there, maybe.
Finally, we can bring up a Jeff Hirt story that he can't deny based on his remembering being a little foggy.
Right. Hey, well, we also have to ask this one other question. We still got a couple minutes here. Everybody always wants to know, we need a Bowling Green story. What's a Bowling Green campground story? What sticks out in your memory from all the years you've been coming to Bowling Green?
Probably we was on my buddy Sammy's side-by-side, and he didn't realize that I knew the guy in front of us and that, and he had the big bumper on his, and Joe Stock, the back of his was all screwed up and all that. He'd
slipped.
We pull up in the middle of where all the cops are, where it's going between the two and that. I had 3 or 4 people with me, and that I just run into the back of him and that and just start pushing him through there. The cops are not even paying attention. My buddy that was with me, he's hit me and he's, we're going to jail. I'm like, I don't worry about it. They don't care. We just strolled on through there, minded our own business, got off, had a beer, laughed our asses off because he turned around seeing who it was and that. So, of course, he put it in reverse and we still pushed him through with the diesel gator and he had his Kawasaki or whatever. And that was a pretty good night.
I've seen you push a couple of people around with your support vehicle at tractor pulls, and always a good time to be sure. Some of those stories maybe we shouldn't even touch on.
Some are still a little fuzzy.
Yeah, Jeff Hirt will be a repeat guest on the No Practice podcast as this thing grows. We got to save some for later. But needless to say, this has been our most watched show of all time. Kudos to Jeff. Kudos to you, the fans. Again, this all has happened because word of mouth, because people love pulling, and we all just like to come here and have a good time. We always say it. There's nothing really scripted about anything we do on all this. We just do the same shit we always do at a tractor pull. We just got cameras in front of us. So, first episode 2024. The next episode will be 2 weeks from now, which will be January 17th. We will have some more very highlighted guests. Probably won't have some of the same context as Jeff, but will be exciting, keep you on the edge of your seat, and hopefully they wear their seatbelts when they pull too. So that's all I got right now for my end as a wrap up. Jeff, I plan on going to Florida pulling with you. We'll see you there.
You gotta get your ass kicked.
It's an easy thing to do if you pull mini rods.
You know better.
That's a real easy thing to do. That's a real easy thing to do. But
wow.
So is Chase? Are you taking his tractor down?
Probably.
If he, I'll take it. I'll have all of your tractors down if y'all want to go. Adam, you don't ever want to go.
If I can finish the one over, I'm kind of slow going here on my stuff since it's just me. My Uncle Robert's been helping me a lot. He's actually been doing more work than I have. Toby's came down and helped a little bit. If I can get my stuff, I would love to run this new tractor. Let's say that I do get into the truck show. I would like to run this new tractor before then, just so I can get a feel for it, considering I have more weight than it should have more weight than I've ever had. But
and you got your front tires on it too, right?
I did put them on there. You can see them over there, can't you? Look at those
beautiful
gospel
It's unbreakable now. It's unbreakable.
Has anyone gotten their truck show invites? Like, when do those go out? How do we know how
I
that
was
works?
told they're still debating whether there's even minis there. Chase was supposed to follow up on that. Never did get back with me.
They're still bitching about who did or didn't get into the farm show. I know I missed that segment with my internet issues, but I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
So
maybe you only have to make a test pass to get into the truck show. I don't know.
Oh.
Are you referencing the farm show? Hey, Adam had no connection in the farm show segment, but we were originally going to take our two-wheel drive to Florida, but since it did not get invited to the Kentucky Invitational or the farm show, we're selling it because it's
old
my
news.
feelings are hurt, and I'm done pulling it. Yeah,
stupid
but we can fit 2 mini rods in where one truck sits. So all you guys on this podcast, I got 2 in there. We can fit 3 more, so bring them on. Let's go to Florida. We're going to Florida. Jeff's going, I think. So,
Tyler, you're not going, are you?
Out of Florida.
Mine's not together yet. Bruce was telling me we're supposed to get our couple sets of heads and a block back from Brad Anderson, I think sometime in the next week. So we got some work to do yet.
We got time.
Oh yeah, we got time.
I don't
put them back in your chassis that you currently run, correct?
That is correct. We're not building another chassis. We haven't started cutting anything apart. We haven't bought another chassis. We don't know what we're going to do yet, and we may do nothing and just run PPL next year. I'm not sure.
Right. You guys ain't going to make a roll cage where you can stand up behind the engine? I mean, nowhere it says you have to be seated, I don't believe.
I feel like we're at the point if we got too creative, they would just write a rule against it.
Well, you know what's sad? You know what's sad about that, man? You guys basically have taken the rule where it was and manipulated it to where it was legal, and it's fine. The rule that they created is easily manipulated. I mean, you could do whatever the hell you want to do with it, basically. But
yeah,
I know what you're saying. You know what? And I'll give you guys props because you guys have more of that in you than anybody. I I would love to see you guys build something just to spite the rules. I don't know if you will.
I didn't mean to turn that.
That's what makes the sport grow.
Another Tyler pissing and moaning about the rules change about that.
No, it's all right, man.
It's all good.
That's what we're allowed to do. We're allowed to bitch, but it's like taxes. Everybody's got to pay taxes, even though half this fucking country doesn't pay their taxes.
Ken Vinny got in the truck show according to this guy. So congrats, Ken. We'll see. We'll hopefully one of us can make it in there to run too.
Surely one of us four will. Jeff won.
One of us ought to be in. I hope. I mean, hell, I talked to Mike Ott, and he hasn't replied to what classes there was yet. And I was told that there was talk there might not be minis there this year. So I guess that's news to us. That
I mean, why would you not have one of the only classes there every single tractor gets down the track?
Because they have to get another sled.
Well, that's
and
true.
That costs money.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to say that for another day, folks, because we can just get pissed off and talk for another hour about this shit. But I guess we just need to say, visit our full pull page and get some t-shirts,
some gear. Buy some Jeff Hirt says, "Well, always wash your after you pee" shirts.
No, before you pee. Before you pee.
Yeah. Don't pee on your hands.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. But the hardest part of this show is always wrapping it up. We all hate goodbyes. We've missed you all the last 3 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Jeff, we always do a sign off. Cheers. It's been a hell. You're the man. I know you got hot beer there nearby. Give us a cheers. Oh, you don't have no beer. So
it's all gone.
Fans,
here.
Subscribe, like, share, tell everybody you know about this podcast. We'll see you again January 17th. Thanks again, Jeff Hirt. Love you guys. See you soon.
See ya.
That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't be any practice. Bye-bye.